Hi Jennings, how are you?
I'm good, yeah, hi.
Lovely to meet you again.
You too, yeah.
First I wanted to ask you, how did you get into music? What is your journey?
I got into music at a very young age. I think I was about 6 or 7 years old. I went to school in New York. I grew up in New York City. And one of my friends at school, his father was the drummer to Green Day.
Oh.
And his father was Trey Cool from Green Day. So once I met him, I was like really excited about music and wanted to learn guitar and piano and all the other instruments. So I think I was about 6 or 7 years old when I came home and asked my mom for guitar lessons. And she said yes, thank God. And yeah.
You know, the music industry is really demanding.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall any challenges you faced coming up in music?
Oh yeah, gosh, all the time, every day. Every day there's a challenge in music. Before I had the studio, I was a performing artist and I was gigging and touring, all around the world and stuff. And that was super hard. Like gigging is fun, it's great, right? It's exciting, but you're trying to build exposure as an artist and get your name out there and get your music out there for people to listen to. But it's a lot of work, it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I really enjoyed it. But I must say, I prefer being in the studio and creating in the studio. It's just a much more comfortable environment. I love being in the studio. There's nothing like creating in the studio. You have complete freedom and it's just a great feeling. But I also love being on stage. Being on stage there's nothing like it. No matter how nervous you get, it's always worth it when you're on stage. So even though for me at the moment gigs are on the back burner, I still miss it, and I will gig more in the future.
Any upcoming gigs?
I do have, I've got 2 festivals this summer.
Oh, okay.
One in Scotland and one in the south of England. So that'll be fun. I'm already nervous. I can feel it already.
Band?
Yeah, with the
Or
band. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be better when you're with a band.
It's easier with a band because you have people around you to help you and support you.
Personally, I feel more comfortable when I'm playing with the band.
Yeah.
When I'm alone, I'm a bit, shaky.
Oh, of course. Yeah. No, it's always like that. But yeah.
So you moved to London when you were very young.
Yeah.
How did moving to London shape you as an artist?
I remember discovering English music. I think one of the first bands that I started listening to was Bombay Bicycle Club and Tudor Cinema Club, people like that. And just to hear like English music was so interesting to me because I was a guitar player first and foremost. And these bands, the way they use guitar and the melodies and the riffs that they come up with were very different to the American music that I was listening to. And it did really influence my songwriting. As I grew older, as I was maybe 11, 12 years old, I started listening to Ben Howard, who really inspired me as well in terms of like folk acoustic guitar stuff. So it really shaped like the way I create music and the way I look at music.
As an American, how was it to adjust to the UK culture when you first moved? Was it hard for you?
I wouldn't say it was hard. It probably took a few months to understand the culture, especially the language and the words that they use and that kind of thing, because there's very different words to American. But I got it pretty quickly, and I went to a school with a lot of British kids, so most of my friends were English, and I adjusted quite well. And now I would say I'm a complete Anglophile. I love English culture, and I can see myself living here for the rest of my life.
You still have your American accent.
Yeah, I don't know. That just happens. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe you were not studying enough.
Yeah, no.
So I've been to the studio a few times now. But I don't know the story of how Holywell Studio was created.
Right.
How did you start it?
Yeah. So Holywell Studio started during lockdown, during the COVID pandemic, and at that time I was still a performing artist, and I was writing and recording, but I was mainly gigging and stuff. So when COVID hit, like there were no gigs, so I had basically no work. So at the time I was working with a producer called Josh. And we were working from his house and from my house, just going back and forth, writing music, recording. He was producing everything. Yeah, that's how it started. And so we got the opportunity sometime during lockdown to get this space. It was an office. There were desks and office and computers and everything. And the previous company just left, so we had to rip out all the old stuff out. And we had to obviously look at soundproofing and make sure it was a good recording environment. But yeah.
How much time did it take again?
I think we spent about 3 or 4 months building the space, and at that time we were kind of open for business, which was during lockdown, which again there was like no business. So even though we were open, we weren't really getting any work. But that's how it started, you know, and it's kind of grown a bit from there.
How did you start putting yourself out there as a business? How did you start like connecting to people?
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
Find you.
I still haven't put the studio out there as a business. Like I haven't. I'm still working on that side of things. I've just started the website. I've just registered the company. Like that's all very new for me right now. Only in the last couple of months. But everything before that was just word of mouth. It was just like people bringing friends around. They bring friends, and we started having parties and networking events. And it just kind of grew, and I was getting clients that way. Yeah. And it's all kind of grown into everything it is now.
Yeah, I remember when we met. We met at a gig.
Yeah.
And you invited me to come over, and it was really, really nice.
Yeah. I think it's a nice environment, you know,
it's lovely.
For people just to hang out and make music.
It's not only a recording place. You managed to create a networking space.
Yeah.
Tell me about how did you meet the people from Holywell Collective?
Yeah.
What's your story with them?
Right. Okay. So Holywell Collective started right here in this room, and it really started between me and my friend Costa. And Costa, I've known since I think 2017. Back then, he was my vocal coach.
Really?
Yeah, I found him online. You know, at the time I was gigging and I needed a vocal coach just for training and stuff. And so I went online and searched for, you know, affordable vocal coaches. And he came up, and he was not far from me. So I was like, okay, let's give him a go. Really cool guy. We became mates, and he trained me for a few months, and then we lost touch for a while. I think he went to uni in south of England or something like that. And in that time, it was COVID, and I built the studio and all this and that. So then we were at, I went to the BBC introducing event at Tobacco Dock, the music industry thing with all the talks and all that kind of stuff. And so I was there with my manager, just listening to people talking and whatever, learning things. And I sit down to take a rest for a minute, and he sits next to me. And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen you for like 2 or 3 years. Like, what's up, you know?
Yeah.
And we caught up really good, and I was like, man, like, come to my studio. We have to do something. So he came to the studio the next week, and we were writing together a little bit. It was just him and I. And he was like, oh, I have a mate who would love to get on this track. And then this other track, we should get this person. And so he started naming all these people. And before I knew it, he was bringing 5, 10 people to the studio. We were having like jam sessions right here. It got to the point where we were doing that so regularly that he thought, man, like, why don't we make it official and start a collective? And I was like,
decided?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, I have no idea really what that means, but it sounds great. So let's give it a go. And Holywell Collective just kind of grew and grew from jam sessions to more networking events and just getting people together. And now we do live performances and all this kind of stuff. So it's really grown into something amazing, I think. Yeah.
I think everybody loves these events.
It's really cool.
So my last question is, what are your plans for the next couple of months?
Yeah.
In terms of music, production, about your personal growth in general.
Right, yeah. So for me, I just want to grow the studio. I want to grow the business, and I want to get the Holywell name like more recognized within London. So for me, that means, you know, promoting the business, reaching more clients, reaching bigger clients, maybe small record labels, and trying to make deals and start working with people that are reputable within the music industry. Because I just want to grow the Holywell name. You know, I want people to know about the studio and the collective, and I want them to know what's going on in Shoreditch. My plan in the next 10, 15 years is I'd love to open another studio, maybe in West London.
Oh, really?
So I have Holywell Studio West London and East London, you know, and then you start building a kind of a studio network around London. That's my plan for the really, really far future, though. Right now, I want to grow the music. I want to grow the studio, and just focus on East London, you know.
That's a perfect plan, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I wish you all the best with it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And definitely, I'll be coming here for the networking events.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.